This offshore oil rig is 16 stories high and as wide as two football fields, and it weighs more than an aircraft carrier. This oil platform is called Appomattox, which is located in the Gulf of Mexico, 130 kilometers off the coast of Louisiana in North America, but its destination began a few years ago, thousands of miles away in South Korea, where thousands of workers and engineers were busy building this oil platform. After 7 years of hard work, when Appomattox was ready, the engineers had to face a challenge that they were doing for the first time in their careers. The problem was that this giant structure had to be sent from South Korea to the Gulf of Mexico, and for this, the world's largest marine transport vessel was ordered. Lifting the Appomattox oil platform and placing it on this vessel was a task that would take at least 7 days, but suddenly they received news that a storm was brewing in the Pacific Ocean, has formed, and this storm has taken the form of a super typhoon. A typhoon of this level is formed once in 20 years. This typhoon, moving at a speed of 315 kilometers per hour, can attack the coast of South Korea at any time after the next 7 days. And we all know that when a super typhoon strikes somewhere, it does not go away without causing damage. The challenge for the workers, engineers, and transport experts now was that they had to do 7 days' work in just 3 days. That is, if the Appomattox oil platform was not lifted from the shipyard and returned to this marine terminal within 3 days, then years of hard work could be wasted in a single moment. This was a problem that shook the entire management from bottom to top. Welcome back to Past Empires videos once again. Viewers, this oil platform was the biggest project of Shell Oil Company, and that was the reason why they did not have even the slightest room for error. It was very important to complete the remaining work to avoid the super typhoon and to send Appomattox ahead of time, for which an extra army of workers was called. The workers worked day and night and started preparing Appomattox for transport as soon as possible. On the other hand, the management, in collaboration with the Meteorological Administration, was keeping an eye on the movement of the super typhoon. They had a hope that this super typhoon might change its direction, but their hopes were dashed when they came to know that the typhoon was moving straight towards South Korea from the Pacific Ocean. The army of workers worked hard and completed the entire work of Appomattox within just 3 days, and now it was time to lift this giant structure and place it on the floating dock. The weight of this entire structure was amazing. It was being said that 41,000 tons was not even used in the construction of the Burj Khalifa. With the help of large hydraulic jacks, it was pushed 1 inch at a time and placed on a floating dry dock. With the help of dub boards, the floating dock was pulled away from the shipyard from where it was to be loaded into this marine vessel. This is the world's largest marine transport vessel that can easily carry a weight of 98,000 tons, and on it, the Appomattox was to go to the other side of the world, to the Gulf of Mexico. The next morning, the Appomattox was taken off the floating dock. Now the oil platform started floating on water for the first time. With the help of tugboats, the platform was pulled further into deep water, where this marine vessel was already waiting. On the other hand, the super typhoon was rapidly moving towards South Korea, and a sword was hanging over the head of the management. Now the super typhoon was only 48 hours away, and as it was getting closer, its signs were also emerging in the sea. The winds and waves in the sea were increasing, which was a sign of danger for the Appomattox. The next moment was very critical. Loading the oil platform onto the vessel is a very complicated task. For this, first the vessel takes water in the water tanks inside it, due to which it goes underwater. Then the tugboats pull the oil platform and carry it over the vessel, and then finally the vessel pumps the water back out, due to which the vessel rises upwards. But this task is not as easy as you saw in this animation. For this task, it is very important that the sea is calm, because if this task is done in the waves, the Appomattox will not be able to load onto the vessel in the correct alignment, and this can be dangerous for both the vessel and the Appomattox. The sea was very rough due to the super typhoon. This task was not possible due to the waves and strong winds. Time was passing by very quickly, and the stress level of the entire team had become quite high. Fortunately, the meteorological department gave the team only 2 hours the next morning, in which there were chances that the sea would remain calm. If this work was not done in these 2 hours, then there would be no other chance after that. The super typhoon was now only 36 hours away. Early in the morning, as predicted, the sea was completely calm. At the first opportunity, the oil platform was pulled onto the vessel, and the vessel lifted it out of the water and loaded it onto itself. Several hours before the super typhoon, the Appomattox had finally managed to say goodbye to South Korea. Shell had completed the first challenge by saving its oil platform from the super typhoon. But that did not mean that there were no more challenges ahead. After several months of travel, the oil platform was unloaded again in South Texas because there were four modules that were being manufactured here. The modules were fitted onto the platform one by one, and once again it was sent 130 kilometers away to its destination, where it was to remain for the next 40 years. After 7 years of hard work, the time had finally come when the Appomattox was to be connected to the oil well 30,000 feet below, where Appomattox is floating in the water. The seabed here is 7,400 feet deep. This is so deep that about 3 Burj Khalifas can fit in it. But the oil well to which the Appomattox was to be connected was surprisingly 22,600 feet below that depth. At such a depth in the sea, the water pressure is very high, where it is impossible for a human to go and then carry out any mission there. Therefore, it was decided to use a remotely operated underwater vehicle to connect Appomattox with the oil well opening on the seabed. The installation crew, who was installing underwater pipelines from a separate platform, sent the ROV into the sea with the help of a crane. This is a very complicated task in which the pipeline has to be landed right above the oil well opening. 7,400 feet down, the control to perform this task with such accuracy is in the hands of the ROV operator sitting above, which is performing this mission like a video game. Fortunately, this work was done in the first turn. Now it was the turn to transfer the pipe from the installation platform to the Appomattox. This process is called riser transfer, in which four separate vessels work together. First, a chain was pulled out of the Appomattox, then the ROV took this chain and delivered it to the second ship. From this ship, this chain was pulled by the second platform, and then finally, the chain was pulled from the Appomattox and the pipe was pulled itself. After that, the drilling work was started. The pipe was to be drilled thousands of feet below the seabed, approximately 22,600 feet down to the oil well. After several months of drilling, the pipe had finally reached the oil well. Now it was the turn to pump the oil. The entire team had gathered to witness this moment, and with the help of a button, the oil pump was turned on. When the oil was pumped for the first time from 30,000 feet down, the joy on everyone's faces was like seeing the workers, engineers, and the 7 years of management's hard work had paid off. The flow of oil and its quality were absolutely perfect. Today, Appomattox produces 175,000 barrels of oil every day, which is enough fuel to power 4 million vehicles a day. Shell believes that Appomattox will continue to produce oil in the same way for the next 40 years, i.e., until 2060. I hope you will like and share this video of past empires. Thank you very much for your loving comments. I will see you in the next wonderful video.